It's locked in place right there, 8-foot strut. For every section you go out, if you go out 3 sections, you need to make sure you have 1 pin in the white, 1 pin in the red. That way it can't collapse down on itself. As far as taking it down, pull both pins. So the first couple times, guys, the system's going to be real tight because until you move it up and down and it wears itself in. That's completely stored all the way flat. That's how it should be stored in the rig. There's no reason to take it all apart. We'll go over some of the other ones up real quick and then we'll go into the detail about what we do.
Sound too? Did you cover me up? I don't know.
Oh yeah. The bottom section of the strut itself has a cutout for the pin or to slide in, and then it'll sit on the pin itself, so it comes all the way down. If you try putting it in the top section, it's not going to go all the way through. That one goes out to about 4.5. Each kit is going to consist of 2 longs, 2 shorts, and 1 strut jack. One section of 3/8 chain, Now in your bag, which holds everything together, you're going to have 4 straps, your standard 2-inch ratchet strap system. Everyone familiar with how a ratchet strap works? Locks in, lock it back into place. When putting the system together, we always want to make sure that the hooks are facing each other, so they're always in.
Responding 931.
So that way when you pull it out of the bag and you go to use it, it looks just like that. Reason for that is, guys, we always want our hooks facing the ground. So when it bites in and you pull tension on that, it pulls the hook in. Versus if it's rolled over and we're going underneath, you go across asphalt, it's going to want to pull the hooks out of the cluster. Other nice part is, we get in the habit of always making sure our hook's down, our ratchet strap's always going to be on the top. It'll never be flipped over. Now we're trying to work back against the ground. Several different ways to store your straps. We'll go over a couple different styles. It's going to be, you know, strictly up on how you guys want to put them in the bag or how you're used to storing them. Another one is, you also have a hook cluster that's also stored in the bag. Universal key. This gets you a purchase point pretty much anywhere on the vehicle. If we can't get these hooks someplace, I can pretty much find any place to put this. Gives you a purchase point that you can run several different straps off of this one. Standard chain lock, you're using a chain. This is a universal frame key. On the dirty side of the vehicle, the frame, undercarriage, you're going to find a ton of shipping holes. That's what those are designed for these little hooks. They're great for towing. A lot of tow truck drivers use them, but that's what this key is designed for. We'll show you all that once we get on the car. You have 4 straps, 1 strap per strut, and in each bag. Universal triangle. Nice thing about this is if we're on a long part to where we need to hook 2 straps together to get a purchase point on whatever our anchor point is, that's what this is designed for. Run both hooks here. Now they're not pulling off the strap. You have 1 extra steel pin, 1 extra carbon pin that stays in the bag. Other one that's going to be in there. This is a structural collapse head. So now we're going to start from the basics. Standard footprint base gives you a nice universal, depending on, you know, not all the time are we on flat ground like this. Sometimes we're off the beaten path. That's why on both sides the ears are bent up, so that I can still get a bite into a hillside, into gravel, you know, soft surfaces, sand or whatever. Bottom plate will take a bite and the ears will give you a good footprint, so it's not going to keep moving on. Your tip, 360-degree swivel on it, multi-purpose. Standard point is for sheet metal. All you gotta do is make a small hole, stick it in, and it's gonna tear and make a good seat. Seat here is good for car frames, wood structure, depending on what we're using it for. This is great if you're able to get a bigger purchase point. This part right here, this is your chain lock. Pin locks right in there, and it holds. Other part on here, you'll see these two little cutouts on the side here. Those are designed for if you're using this for structural collapse. Vehicle into a building, we got to secure the building before we can work on the car. Put this into place, and you can toenail some nails right in there, and it holds it into place. Popping this one out. If we are using it for structural collapse, this one slides into place. Take your strut right up to the beam that we need to secure it in. Get as close as you can. Now you can hand tighten it so it gets it real snug, holds it into place.
How much travel do you have there with that tip?
Get about 6 inches. So I mean, you get it up there as close as you can, and then just snug it the rest of the way on up. Now, as far as your strut jack goes, you can lift with these struts with your strap system 4, 5, 6 inches if you need be, but if you need more than that, we got to get a lot of travel. You lock it into place, which we'll go over. Pull the jack out. The nice thing about it is that it's not permanently mounted to the strut, so you're not always having to carry this weight around. You only need it when you need to lift something. Pull the bottom pin. Pull the top pin. On the bottom part of the jack itself, it has an ear cutout. Reason for that, it's designed to sit right on top of that part there. Pull this pin here. Take it up to the next section we need to attach it to. Locked into place. Place all of our safety pins. Now, as you can see, we're in here. We have to repin our jack. So you might have to go up to the next hole that you line it up with. Yep. Place that pin. Now we're ready to lift with this. Just by cranking it on up, you can take the load of the vehicle or whatever we want to lift as high as we want it to go. This will max out. This will give you about 8 inches of lift. If you max out and we still need more, take it to the point that you're at. Pull your pin. So as you're lifting, now the jack has the whole load. Get it to the point where you need to go, and if we have to readjust our jack, simple as repin it. So now the load's captured still by the pins. Pull that out, lower it back down, extend it back up, whichever way we need to go.
You have to take the yellow pins out before you begin.
Yeah. Take the yellow pins out. Leave those in there until you capture the load with the jack. Pull them out. I always throw them in the top section. That way, when we're done and we need them, we know exactly where they are. They're not in someone's pocket, not laying on the ground. Whenever you take them out of here, put them right here. That way there's no place for them to get lost.
So say you've grabbed the load, you've gone the 8 inches, and you need more. So do you put both those? You only put the one of the yellow pins in there. Would you have to put the one?
I put them both in because the fact. Remember, every time you go out 3 sections, you need to make sure you pin the white and the red.
The white and red, okay.
Now, here's the main thing, guys. When putting your pins in, they could go this way, or they could go this way. Get in the habit of always putting the clip to the vehicle, because we never know if we're going to have to lift. And if we have our pins like this, and we put that jack on, now that pin's stuck in there because the jack's going to pinch this in. So always get in the habit of locking it so the clips are towards the vehicle.
Can you pin the bottom part too, or it's just lifting off of the foot?
It's lifting off the foot here.
It sits right on that.
That's why that cutout is there for it.
Okay.
So that is your full system of what it all consists of. We're going to go over and actually put them into use. We're going to be working on the red Acura on its roof. Do a couple different styles of stabilizing a vehicle on its roof. Then we'll move to a vehicle on its side. You guys want to, I don't know what PPE they're required to wear. I'm going to get the straps done real quick.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty much walk up to it, spin it down the road like a beach ball. Problem with that is, how do we stabilize it? Car like this, what's our most concerns of where it's going to go? Side to side, forward, backwards, what are we looking at?
Side to side.
Exactly. Side to side is probably our biggest concern. Second one would be going forward. I'm not worried about it going backwards anywhere because the weight of the vehicle is from the transmission forward. It's already given us a nice footprint in the ground. What we'd want to do, 2 step chocks. Fill the voids in the front. Now we just gave ourselves a big footprint in the front, so it's not going to move forward. Now what we have to do is capture the load for going side to side on. A couple different ways we're going to do it. First one we're going to do, it's what's known as the standard triangle. Tension buttress system. All we're doing, making a big footprint, capturing the load in the top like a vise, using 2 struts. Couple things we're looking for that we want to stay away from. When using our struts, stay away from bumpers, because it's plastic, it's not going to give us something solid to secure to go off of. Stay away from suspension systems because it flexes. We want to go off something solid. Anywhere that you can find sheet metal is a great spot. Creases here. Probably one of the best ones on the rear of a vehicle that's giving you an automatic spot to go off of. Gas tank. Pop the gas tank cap. Reason for it is behind that cap you have a metal plate. Good strong baits to hook into, and it's not going to tear away from it. That's the thing is, we have to realize on a car, are we stabilizing it or are we going to lift it? Because they're 2 different things. Stabilizing, you can throw it on any little piece of sheet metal and it's going to hold. If we're going to lift, we want to make sure we got good backing so it's not going to tear away from us as we start taking the load of the vehicle. So, do me a favor, someone pop this gas cap open for me. Okay.
We'll go over.
While he's doing that, let's go over the angles that we should be using our struts at, guys. Perfect. So right here gives you a great place to hook into. It gives you a good lip with, like I said, reinforcement backing on the back. When using our struts, we want to use them anywhere between a 35 and probably about a 55-degree angle. Once you get past 55 into the 60, 70 degree, you can still use it. The safety level drops tremendously once we get past 65. Because now we're starting to work back against the base. 35 to 55 is a perfect angle. Like I said, guys, that's just rough carpentry. You don't need to have your speed square out. How close are we, you know? Eyeball it, looks good. You know, just realize once we get about here, now we're working back against our base. You want to start a little bit deeper, because by the time you get it secured and get the load where we want it, it's going to travel on us. So that we're locked in at 55. We don't want to start at 55. Now that's also the same thing with lifting. If we're going to lift, we're probably going to want to go a little deeper, because by the time we finally get the load taken up to where we want it to, be right where, you know, where it's secure, right at 55. When you get it, eyeball it, pull it back, pin it back here. Don't get in the habit of getting up here, counting holes. Now, because now we're trying to pin it, and look where we are. We're still in the hot zone of the thing. Eyeball it, looks good enough to be, pull it back, pin it in, pins are facing the vehicle. That one's locked in. Now the other side, we're going to want to make our hole somewhere right around the exact same area as where this was placed. Because the thing is, when we're using two struts,
that never bothers us when it happens.
when using two struts paired up, you want to make sure they're at the same angle. Because if you get cocked off to one side or the other, as you take the load of that car on, the car's going to want to spin, or it's going to want to kick the foot out of the base. So if we know that this is our hole that we're going with, we want someone to make a hole on the other side, right there, pick head axe, whatever, right on the other side, right of the sheet metal. Pop the hole here, though. Showing on the other side, because when in doubt, you know, if we're on flat ground, we're probably not doing much stabilization. You're always going to have one side of the vehicle that's off on the other. So don't try and say, well, they're on 3, we need to be on 3. There you go. Nice little Halligan head hole or pick head axe hole makes a perfect spot. Because once we get that set in there and pull the strap together, it's going to pull that in and it's going to sit nice right inside there. So now we need to make sure that before we strap them up, we have someone in the back looking. Okay, they're about the same. This one needs to go forward just a little bit.
Why the big discrepancy? You only got one hole showing here and that many there. I didn't quite understand that.
Because the vehicle's off at an angle.
Oh, I see.
It's never going to be a perfect level thing. If it's perfectly level, it's probably pretty stable. Take one of our straps out. Here's the thing is, ratchet straps. If we're off at on an uneven surface like this, we always want our ratchet on the uphill side. Because as we pull this vehicle, we don't know if it's going to shift. If it does shift, which way is it going? It's going to always go downhill. Put yourself on the other side. Take it out. Deploy it out. Now it's out of our way. Pull what we need. Yep, we're going to go underneath. Okay. Go ahead and hook into our base. Now we just pull our slack out. And here's the habit that you guys need to get in the habit of doing this. When working on your straps, without fail, the guy that's doing the strapping, his focus is down here. It's not focused up on the vehicle. Get in the habit till you're back to the car. If this car shifts, you're able to get out of the way. And don't ever get down like this on two knees where we can't move. Back to the vehicle. When we're done, we always take the ratchet system and we lock it back down. This thing's only rated when it's locked down. Because if we leave it up, someone walks by, someone kicks it, it could unspin on us. All the way down, now it's locked. This car's not going anywhere. I mean, that's solid. What we did is we took it and we made a giant footprint on the back here, captured the load of the car in the vise, pushed it forward onto our step chocks, made a giant footprint. That car is more solid now than it was on its wheels. Really quick, you know, truck company comes, show that you guys run 4 on your truck. 3 guys can have this done while someone's doing their inner and outer 360 within 2 minutes. This car's stable, we're going to work on it. That's one way. Now that we have it here, we have to lift. If we got to get any movement out of this car, you know, extremities stuck underneath the hood or on the roof, we got to lift a couple inches. You can lift a couple inches with straps. Taking it up. You can still go more. Here's the one thing that we have to be aware of. If we are going to lift with our straps, we need to use a 2-strap system for 2 reasons. One is it gives you your primary and your secondary backup, but without fail, when you try lifting, that barrel is going to fill up full of material before we get the height that we want. So instead of having to redo it and adjust it, we run a second strap. If possible, if you're going to run 2 straps, unless you're on a serious incline, put the other strap on the ratchet on the other side. Otherwise, it's just a lot of stuff right in one area. Want to hook that in? Let me go to the inside of that other one.
Towards the front of the car?
Towards the front of the car. We're doing the same thing with that one, towards the front of the car. Locked in. Okay. Locked in. Pull your slack out. Now you can go ahead and start taking off.
Raise it up. Put your ratchet on the other side of the.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
On the other side.
There you go. And you know, See, you can go up higher if you wanted to. I mean, it's not that hard to take the load on with the strap. Now we have our, once we're done, we can take a little more on the first strap. Now we have our primary and our secondary. Plus we've taken this vehicle, you know, depending on how high we got to take it. That's one way, quick, easy way if we need a couple inches. If we need more than that, this is where our strut jack is going to come in handy. System's already set in place. The weight of the vehicle's already taken. You can lift on the white, blue.
Once that's in,
Once that,
you have to ratchet up.
you got to ratchet it. Remember, we got to replace this pin.
Yeah.
We got to line that hole up with something. There you go.
And we'll hold these out.
Now the
Nope, we got to, right now, they're still holding the load. You got to take a little bit of load off, now you can probably pull them.
In this case, we can't put them in that.
Can't put them in there. Now the jack's got that whole load. Now we can take it up as high as we need it. Now repin it.
How much do you say you can jack that?
8 inches before you got to readjust it.
And what's the load of the jack? The load?
That load of that jack will hold 10,000 pounds.
10,000.
So you could go 8, readjust,
Yep,
8 more.
exactly.
And you got a lot of throw left in those ones.
Yeah,
there, so
exactly.
you
We
could
just
go-
barely started showing the white. Plus you still have the blue that's going. You could get a lot of throw. There you go. Now, say we needed more. We pinned it. Take the load back off. Pull it back out. You come back down, capture the next section, and keep going. Pull your jack off, go to the other side, depending on what kind of lift you can use. Other nice thing about using these, use them with airbags. Because right now, with airbags, what do? We lift an inch, then we got to crib an inch, right? Instead of having to build big crib boxes, you can set this system up exactly like it is, put your airbags under. As the guy with the controller is lifting airbags, we're chasing with our strap system. Airbags are primary, struts are our secondary. Makes it a lot faster than having to get all the wood and everything else we have to build a crib box. So that's what's the standard pyramid system right there. We're going to take it down, show you a couple more real quick, easy ones.
Okay.
All right now, time to break everything down, seams over, a couple different ways. One is, I'll pull my first one, get it out the way. Now normally if I got a wrecker on scene, I'm going to have him take the load of the vehicle. Other way of lowering it down. You got a Halligan?
Got a what? Halligan, right?
Yeah. Use this pike pole, whatever you can. Get yourself away from this car. Because when we started, we had a roof, we had a nice footprint on it. Now that it's over, you know, we've cut the doors off, we've cut the roof, whatever we needed to do. We don't have a solid print. We don't know how this car is going to do when we take it down. It might come completely to the ground. Get yourself out of the way. Watch yourself. Just punch it out. Don't stand underneath that car trying to loosen that strap. It's just not worth it.
You want these set back up?
No, this is because we're going to keep using them. Okay.
Good. 125 minutes.
Okay, one more easy one. Vehicle just like this, still unstable. We threw our step chocks in the front. You see one strap. This is what's known as a 4-point, because we got 4 points of contact. We're going to go right to that C-post if you can't get it. There you go. That's right with it. Right there. Hold up, stop.
Yeah, you're about to lose her.
Bring the strap up over the...
Nope. Gonna come off. It's gonna happen. Bring it flat.
4 point, you said?
One strut, doing the exact same thing. Got a good footprint back here, pushing all our weight, motor, transmission, pushing it right into the ground. Now that's a quick one. We don't have, so are these going to be on all your ladders or are they going to be on some engines?
Ladders.
Okay. Well, you have enough manpower to throw up 2, but that gives you an option to go 1. 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Base and foot always count as 1 and 2. Then wherever we go from there. The very minimum we need to have is 3. 3 points of contact. Now you could go from 3 out to 8, 9, depending on what kind of vehicle and load that we're trying to capture. Cars like this car probably weighs 4,500 pounds. You know, not a lot of stuff that we got to worry about. That one strut is rated for 10,000 pounds, all the way collapsed. Fully extended on the 8 foot, still 4,000 pounds that one strut can capture. Coming down.
So when you talk 4,000 pounds, that's 4,000 pounds laying on the ground, but that's like, that'll hold 4,000.
That will hold 4,000 pounds fully extended. With a 2-to-1 safety rating. So actually it's at 8,000 before you're gonna flex or bow the cart. That is one nice thing about this, guys, versus your original 42s that you guys still have. The original ones that are metal have 0 give. You know, you smack it on the side, you put a dent in a corner, metal's pretty much done. Now you made a weak spot. With carbon fiber, it's twice as strong, but yet it gives you a little bit of flex. So when we're banging them or we're side loading them, we don't have to worry about damaging them or putting a crease in it where it's going to buckle under pressure. Now we're going to do, who's familiar with a chain cradle? All right, a chain cradle. We're going to cradle this vehicle pretty much the exact same way we did with our 2 struts, but instead of taking the load off the vehicle by hooking our struts into the metal of the car, we're going to capture the whole load with the chain. Where we'd aim for is we're going to wrap a car with a chain. We want the chain to take care of the whole slot or the whole section of the car. So we want the chain to come above the last part we're working with. So if this is the last part we're working with, we want to aim our strut so we're at least 3 to 4 inches higher than this.
By the last part you were
The top or the bottom section. So if this is it right here, you want to go 3 or 4 inches above the last part of the car.
Oh, okay.
Because our chain is going to come above where we're working. Our 3 to 4 inches above your last working space. Okay. Now, here's a good thing for you guys to do with your chains. Done with mine is I've taken them. And right in the middle, I've taken tape, or on mine, I've got, fluorescent zip ties. So I know where the middle of my chain is. So I'm not trying to figure it out. Figure out where the middle is. You want to put it right there. Right there. Okay. Now pull your slop out. Come up, capture the chain. Now here's the main thing. You always want to take your extra slop that you have, wrap it around anywhere that you can capture it. Bring it back and hook it on. And I'll show you why. Because when we're done, what we're doing is we're capturing the chain, because you have a round vehicle, round chain, chain's gonna want to roll. You come back and marry it to itself, you're capturing it from the end of the cord. You can do the same thing as if we don't have a big bite. Okay. Now we're going to run our strap just like we would if we were going off the car itself.
There's nothing we need to do to keep this chain from slipping off the back there.
That's why we married it around there and married it to itself.
Okay.
Now, if you get a car that's got a really small trunk and we're worried about that, you can run another strap from the chain in front of the car or someplace else to keep it. Keep it from coming. But that's how if you always take the slop, wrap it around something, come back and marry the chain.
Okay.
Now the strap's twisted.
It's going to pull it tight before we lift. It'll pull all the slop out of the chain.
I have to unhook your end, Matt.
Okay.
That's why we turn it over right there. Because that's less strapping you're going to have to do before you get it on.
Are you
Still want 2 straps?
Yes, because
Are you ever going to get to a spot where you can't get the straps underneath the rest?
yeah.
Step back.
And we're going to go, that is where the 3-point goes. You can go from that base to whatever gives it to you. You know, so there's your 3-point right there, to a 3-point on that side. You're still doing the exact same thing.
Flag, and then we'll
Oh,
do
so
your
just to
second
a
strap.
side?
Yeah, just to a side point.
Okay, great.
Because you're still making your 3-point, you're making a triangle here, triangle there, versus going one triangle.
Pardon me?
Right. Still does the same thing if you can't get the strap.
Yeah, the
across.
slack's out right now. They're getting the other. They're trying their monkey booger in the other strap over there.
All right. Go ahead and go up a little more.
On this nice thing here. Oh, yeah.
Still solid. Yeah. This works great, like I said, on most vehicles that have that round roof, where it's just going to want to teeter-totter on you anyways. Trying to do that pyramid, you're pushing up, you're still going to get that teeter-totter. Take the chain, now you capture the whole
front
load
the other
arc.
side.
You're taking the roof right out of this scenario.
So the only advantage of this is you don't have to take the different struts into. Why would you do this?
You want one person on each side then? Pardon me? Yeah, then you just ratchet them up together.
What you do, you secure them, you're still going to get that
Is there a
wobble
goal
load
to
to it.
lift it then, or?
Taking the chain,
I think you
taking
can.
the
You
whole load
can
of the
either
car,
lift it
you're
or
taking the
just
business card
secure it.
and push it out of this area.
Chain creator. You want to go at the same time?
Yes. Strap. Now, depending on how much damage we have, on how flat that is, maybe we can take it up, get all 3 posts on both sides. Now you can use the roof of the car itself as your backboard. So if they try to pull the whole roof out, pull everything out with it. Because we've captured the load off the roof, now the chain has everything. Once it's up in the air like that, it's not going to roll on because now everything's swinging and that's just to keep it from when it starts and you have that slop in there. Yeah. From low. Yep. So, and like I said, you can lift this all the way up with your strut jack too. This just gives you that option that if you're lifting and we can't get a good bite, so we still have a little bit of slop up in there, take the car out of this. Now the chain carries over the way. This one works real nice on damage. Now, if you have 2 chains, say you have a much larger vehicle, we don't have enough chain to go all the way around the vehicle, we can do the same thing with 2 chains. Wrap the D-pillar, go straight on up. Does the same thing capturing the load. Instead of going all around, we've captured it chain still's got the car up inside where you need.
Pillar, C pillar, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, whatever the last pillar of the car is.
All right.
So, here's one thing that was asked. If you can't get a strap going underneath the car, like we can here, you can still do the exact same thing, everything we've done here, with a 3-point contact. 1, 2, take your strap, whatever the car is giving you, go directly to the car. On both sides. You don't have to go strut to strut. A lot of times, like you'll see when we get your car on its side, you're not going to be able to get your strap underneath the car. You're going to have to take it. But the one thing is, if you do that 3-point, wherever you hook this strap, has to be a straight line of contact to that vehicle. It can't be off at an angle. We can't hook this here and then go to that D pillar or that C pillar. Because as you lift it, it's going to pull the base that way. It has to be a straight line of contact. So if if we're not going to go straight across because we can't get it, we don't have to quite worry as much as, are these two directly in the same angle? I could put this one right here, put that one on wherever it's giving me, because I'm still capturing the load.
You just align then the strut to your D post so it is straight in.
So it is straight in.
So it's just moving the strut to make sure you have that.
Instead of being right here, I'd go right here. Because here's my direct line of contact. Now if we're not going strap to strap or strut to strut, you can place your struts anywhere you want on that car. They don't have to be perfectly angled. Because we're not working simultaneous, we're working single. Capturing here, capturing wherever we capture over there. So, let's go ahead and break this one down, and we'll go to the car on its side.
So show us that punch release thing that did over there again.
Undo one of them first. Go ahead and... There you go. Pull it all the way out so it's not going to... There you go. Now... on this one, you go ahead and unlatch it so it just catches the tube, but it's still locked. It's not going to release it all the way. Here's our release point. We'd aim with this. I like using a pipe pull because it gets me far enough away from the car. Oh, you hit it?
We're just right there.
You got to push that up.
Push this part up.
This part right here has to come up because you're still latching the last lock, wrapping in right there. Pull it up and push it towards the car. If you do have a high pull, it's way out here. You know, we're not anywhere close to this car with that load coming down. So that's all it is you take it to the last lock right there. Hit the lock, push it down. Load of the vehicle comes down.
Yeah, this one is the car, and the other one was always an out of the car, and we just get them in.
On their side, they're also the most easiest thing to stabilize. You have something like here, really top heavy. Same thing is, we want to capture the most heaviest part of this car. Front wheel drive vehicle, it's going to be the front part. Dirty side of the car. Plenty of places for us to put our struts. Frame rail right here to bite onto. All these little holes right here that the manufacturer's given us. Great purchase points to go to. We want to put our strut high, capture the load, put our strap low. Where is that? That's where these ones all come in nice. Then they hook it in. Down here. Dirty side of the car gives us plenty of purchase points already. We don't really need to make a lot of them. Stay away from suspension systems. Stay away from mufflers. So, 2 step shocks. On the clean side, we want to capture pretty much the front A post, and whatever our last A post is where we want to, our last post is where we're going to set them. Fill a void. That's all we're doing. Still pretty unstable. but yet we're starting our first footprint. We're going to take a strut on the other side, force the weight back on this footprint we just made. We can go up one strut, so right about here. How far out? What kind of angle you think you're going to want? You know? Like I said, you tell me.
Again, medic 313 and DK8.
I'd go for it. Just because that's already rolled up, it's not going to be as right. There you go.
Number 547.
Pull it out.
5300 Charlie, number 1,
Now pull it out and pin it out here. We don't want to be up under behind this car trying to pin it because it's still not stable yet. So it looks good.
medic 313 responding.
Gotta go up a little bit. There you go.
Push the stick back in the red.
Yep. Now this is a good one right here to do the 3-point contact because we're not going to be able to go all the way to the other side. Grab your strap. We know that we got to go from one thing to the car someplace. Nope. Put your strap away from the car.
Strap away from the car.
Yeah, you want your ratchet strap away from the vehicle.
Okay, we're going to run 2 straps then, 2 separate straps?
We're going to run one. On this one, we're going to do one where we're going to run multiple, but on this one, we're just running one strap.
Okay. So we're going to go straight into one of these holes down here.
Hey Joe, I've got 5 minutes of video left, so.
You want to use that anchor there?
Yeah, if you don't have a hole that you can go to that it'll fit in.
Yeah, sure.
Now, if we get in a scenario like this, guys, where we're real tight in here, our ratchet strap's close to being where our point of contact is, one way you can take some of that slop. Look through.
Thanks, Joe.
Now you took out a lot of that slop and you gave yourself a little bit of working room. If you're in a real tight spot, run it back through, take a lot of that slop out of the way.
Now you've got, I mean, it's just slightly off out of alignment from the strut.
It's not that much. I mean,
Okay.
if we're going off at a big angle.
Okay,
where
so
you
the
could-
big angle, a
Yeah.
little bit's okay. All right.
There you go, go ahead and ratchet it up.
In that case, would we have wanted it a little bit back further so we wouldn't be contacting this while we...
It'll just give you the option. There you go. That's a quick primary. Throw one strut on here, 2-step drops. All we did was we put a big footprint on the other side, forcing the weight of the car onto it. Capture the top load so we don't have the top sway coming back on it. That's a quick way. Now what you can do with this, where this is nice, say we're working on a much bigger vehicle, a truck, say a bus. You have a lot of vehicle space. You can run one strut every 8 feet. You can run them opposite too. Put one on this side, capture the other side at 8 feet. Capture the other side at 8 feet. So you're going down, but you're still making a giant vice. Capture your load all the way down. Depending on how much tail room do we have, you know, a car like this, one truck's going to handle it. You get into some other trucks,